It's all good. Unless I see something new. Should be fine. Alright. Oh. If this gets buried in chat, I'll have to... trying to remind myself to tell Clatton about that, because that was actually a good idea. Because that was actually a good idea that we just randomly came up with while doing the race. That was fun. Moto 1 banter was fun. That would have been a good radioactive. Alright. This track's fucking... holy shit. I'm so not used to this. This looks so different. This is why I don't stream. I need to get a new capture card. Looks so weird. Oh my god. Hello everyone, and welcome to round 3 of IndyHog, first road course on the schedule, and we've got the biggest one. So, not intentionally, but funnily enough, the way the schedule worked out, we have the by far smallest track on the schedule, Little Texas, in round 2, and then we have the, I wouldn't really say by far, but definitely the biggest track on the schedule. It honestly might be by far. Barber Motorsports Park right after it, so not intentional. That's just kind of the way it worked out, with them both being early scheduled races and Texas being changed around, obviously. But pretty fun. So, you know, people that like the really small tracks, or like the really big track, like this part of the schedule, either or. And then we'll be, you know, two pretty, like, usual, normal tracks back to that. I want to focus on this race for now, but I definitely do want to talk about the races coming up and for the rest of the month, because I'm excited about that stuff. But let's focus on this one for now. So on the right, then the left, we're doing Slaunch, then Luke, heat winners in the front row, and then Roman, Camby, Armada, Soul, Detail, and Matt rounding out the field. And admittedly, well, we'll watch the start first. Okay, so it's going to be a 11-lap race. It's going to be 23 on the checkpoints. And just like we saw on the street course, 2 laps in is when the pits open. 2 laps to go is when they close. There's a look at the pit road. It's a little bit different, with the wall being on the left side. That's not usually the case on most of our pits. It would be the case on the oval pits, obviously, but with no oval pits, on most of these road courses, with them being like clockwise or whatever, a lot of the pits are often on the right side. So, but Barber, even though it still, you know, goes that way, I mean, I guess the first turn is left, but it still goes that same direction. The pits are on the left here for some reason, so it's a little unique in that regard. All right. So we're set. I think they're ready to pace. Third round, last round, really mixing things up, but in a way also not, because everybody kept finishing in different spots, but we're green here for Barber, longest track on the schedule. And right here off the start, you might see what I was alluding to in the beginning, but one mistake that we made in this night, we probably should have flipped the heat order. The pole, the technical like pole, I think that left side at the start is honestly weaker, but that was not intentional. That we kind of flubbed, and then as soon as the race, well, honestly, going into Moto 1, I was thinking it. I was like, wait, this should be the other way around, but we're already committed. And then we got to Moto 2, and I was like, yeah, we definitely fucked up, but hopefully not too big of a deal here. But that was on the bright side. Most tracks in the future, most road courses aren't like Barber, where it's you know, like a left then a right, or a right then a left. Like a lot of them are pretty, you know, a couple right turns, a couple of the same direction turns. So, you know, not going to have that problem. Should be more obvious. Should be more obvious on those. But that was something that we kind of cheesed on this one. But hopefully not too big of a deal. Barber, Motorsports Park, track. A little inside cheese. Who was that? It was Detail on that one, unfortunate. Track, another track forged by myself here. We got a row of tracks forged by myself in the schedule, actually. For some reason, they just got all, the way the Indy schedule is, they're all together. Probably because I was working on a lot of the tracks myself and then gave people time for the other ones. That's also probably part of it. But yeah, so we have a big string. Who just spun out back there? Is that Armada? How did that even happen? That looked really weird at the end of that. But big battle in the back 4 pack here. Look at that. And I think that was Detail making a move on Armada, and then we got Soul holding off. I don't think it can be Roman here. Oh, and it's Matt there, so yeah, okay. So Detail getting by both of them, and now it's Soul. And then how the hell did Matt just pop up like that? It looked like he veered off track a little bit, but that was still weird. And oh, just a straight up spin out for Detail there. What is going on early in this race? That's going to give Soul a bit of a gap. And we have an interesting field right now. So Luke's opened up a decent lead gap. We have a really good second, third, fourth gap. And then Soul right there in 5th is just kind of on his own. And then the back 3 are all pretty close at the moment, too. This would be a good, if we ever do... Oh, what the cheese? Everybody... Oh, fuck. Okay, that wasn't that bad. I guess we can go back and look at this now, too, because we might as well. So what happened here? It's just a straight... Oh, just a little bit of a clip. And then what happened up here? A lot of people making mistakes early on in this race. What happened here? So Slaunch running in 2nd. Oh, he just gets in a little too hot. I mean, yeah, that happened. Wow, the dodge from both Camby and Roman. That worked out really well for him. That was nice and convenient for them there. Roman getting a live on the track penalty. He's going to have to... Pit lane not open, so he's going to have to figure that one out. Well, I was going to say we'll give him credit because this is Roman's first track on the road course, but it wasn't. He was here for the first week. What the fuck, Roman? Roman, too distracted by male fantasies, decided to go in the pits a little bit early there. So, you know, that happens sometimes. Yeah, that's what it was. So Roman's going to have to get that figured out. 2 laps into the race. Pits are open now. The next time around. Upcoming time around. Then you can pit. Can be in 2nd early on with that mistake from Slaunch. Although Slaunch, with that pit road penalty from Roman, he's gonna get that spot back, get himself back in the podium. Soul is honestly starting to approach these guys, and Detail in 6th has really gotten away from the backpack as well. And the way things are going, I think that 2 through 5, or 2 through 6 even, honestly, battle is going to be super spice. We'll see if Ramda and Matt could get up there. They're having some issues. Matt looking for his oval tracks. You know, Barber is a little out of his water, and Armada, I don't remember what happened, something with his controller, but he's a bit of a fish out of water too, because he's actually, he does race on PC. Big run. Oh, here we go. I'm glad we got a shot of this. You can see the potential there. Massive run. Can Slaunch complete the pass on him? Oh, this is sweet. I love when the battles work out like this. And we have some pit strategy while we have like a 4-wide battle going on. Detail going to the pits. I really like this, actually. This is going to be super spice. We have, oh, Soul with the run, maybe making it 3-wide. What is this battle here? Can Roman take advantage? And meanwhile, Detail slyly going in the pits while making time on this. This is going to be an interesting undercut. I think this is going to work out really well for him. We'll have to watch in a few laps because these guys are battling super hard. Should give him some big clean air, and we're going to have to see how that works out. Because again, yeah, like conveniently, these guys are duking it out super hard, and it's going to help Luke in the lead too. And this just goes to show how much of a difference that starting position in those heat races can make. Because look at that gap is already pretty insane. And that's not just from, you know, there's probably a little bit of pace to it, but also these guys, well, honestly, a lot of mistakes have been coming out throughout the pack, and this battle's been pretty nuts for the 2nd place position so far. So that's just going to, you know, stretch that lead even further. And that was the case on Long Beach as well. That seems to be the case in these races. But another factor of it is, too, 8 drivers tonight. For some reason, we get hit with the cheese where everybody misses the same nights. So I'm honestly still glad that we had 8 because I knew there was going to be a lot of people missing this night. But yeah, hopefully we have more for St. Pete because, maybe I'll do a track preview schedule. Roman going in for the pit there. I hope that's 2 tires in. I don't even know what his pit box is. We'll say it was. But Roman's going to do his first pit there, I believe. Actual pit. Oh, and, unlike St. Pete, we actually have the pit checkpoints. So there's a double checkpoint. There is, I think Armada went in for it right there. There's a checkpoint at the end of pit road. So the pit checkpoints are completely there this time around. So unlike what we saw at Long Beach, that pit checkpoint is there. So the drivers won't have to worry about that. It's going to be that normal checkpoint. Again, even though I honestly think there was some nice aspects of the way it was at Long Beach, but it'll be easier just to have it this way. But yeah, so that's fixed for this week. And yeah, this track, again, this would be a crazy, I feel like this would be a perfect power hour track, with how massive this track is. And even though we're getting some gaps, the motos, even though the motos are long, they don't really give enough time for it. But imagine you're right here and you're seeing other drivers either in front of you or behind you, over there. And there's a lot of locations on the track where it could get pretty crazy with the gaps. We have a move here. Camby doing the same thing back to Slaunch, and I like this. Instead of fighting it, Slaunch goes for his pit. I really like that. I bet that was a heads-up call from Slaunch right there, and I think that's a really good play. And oh no, both of them. And this is an interesting thing with Barber, and I'm honestly surprised that so many drivers went for those early pits, is that all the pit roads are going to have character, right? Even though they'll be built similarly, all the pit roads are going to have character to them. And, Long Beach's pit road with how Slaunch did it had the a little spinner there, had the ramps and stuff. And live on track battle, I think this is with the pits too between Detail and Camby. This is showing, by the way, I think this undercut's really working out, because I think this is legit on track position battle here. And this undercut from Detail with the battles coming out for everybody else, this is looking like a really good move right here, because this is going to be legit podium battle, I think. And the closest battle that we have on track now, for sure, except for Matt. Matt and Armada might actually still be pretty close. I think they're duking it out. Closest highest battle here. I lost my point. Oh yeah, so the ramps on Long Beach. So yeah, all the pit roads are gonna have their character, right? And Long Beach's has this one has quite a bit of character too. Long Beach's had it with the ramps, and just the layout. Oh my god, that was brutal right in front of Detail right there. Honestly, lucky he didn't catch it worse, but he's going to take advantage of it, just make the pass on Camby. A lot of drivers struggling with that chicane right there. It's a tough one. Slaunch going in for a second pit. Let's see if we can improve this time. But they're all going to have character, and I think what's particularly tough with the one on Barber is a couple things. For one, the entrance and the exit to the pits here at Barber are kind of like chicanes, honestly. They're kind of like chicanes. This one's a little elongated. This one's more of just a sweeper, but they're kind of difficult. There's legit some time to be made up in pit road, not just from the actual pit, but from how you enter and exit it. It's genuinely a tough part of the track. So that's something that adds to Barber's character. Another thing about it is Detail's separated here. Let's see if we can get got around Camby. So now we got Roman and Slaunch. Let's get on board with that. About halfway through the race, by the way, over halfway through the race. Yeah. So with Barber, the left side. So a tricky thing, why I was mentioning that left side pit road and why it's so weird, not only is it weird because it's just different than most of the tracks, it's just unusual in that sense. And so that's just kind of odd. The drivers are, I guess it's early in the season. We only did the one race with pitting, but at a certain point, the drivers are going to get used to, pitting on that same side on most tracks, and that's going to throw them off a little bit. It's not just that. It's also that it's on the driver's side. So, with Long Beach, you could pit it really close to the wall, and you'd be fine because it'd be the passenger side on the right. But on this one, it's the driver's side close to the wall, and what can happen is if you, pinch yourself too close to the wall, you can get some weird interactions and, some bumps. Can be going in. Detail there as well. You can get some weird interactions and some bumps. Sorry, I'm getting hit with the burp cheese. Yeah, that was rough. Get some weird interactions where it bounces you off of your hog. I don't know if anybody had that issue, but yeah, if you pit too close to the wall, that can happen where you exit the hog and it can kind of bounce you a little bit. So that's a problem with it. And then on top of it, if that happens to you, because the wall is there, it's kind of awkward. It's kind of awkward to get back into it too. To get back on that side with it squeezed against the wall. It's kind of awkward there. So just in multiple ways, Oh, one I forgot to mention as well. I was surprised. A lot of drivers, and we saw it earlier with Roman and Slaunch when they both pitted on the same lap. I was surprised that so many drivers went for the early pits. Sol, Detail, and Luke all spread out a few pit boxes between each other at the back half, if you want to call it that way. I guess, is it better to call that the front half? I don't know. The latter half of pit road. Sol, Detail, and Luke all picked that and all gave each other like a 3 hog length gap there. The rest of the drivers, I'm not kidding, literally pit box 1 through 5, as Camby goes for his second pit here, and that one is 1, 2, 3, like it's 1 to 16 in that order. So there's Sol over there. He's in pit box 10, I believe. Literally 1 through 5, they all packed in on those early pit road spots. And on some tracks, it's fine. Like generally, I would say the later pit road is better, but some tracks it is better. And sometimes it's just a preference too. But on this one, that entrance to pit road, something that's hard to tell from watching the video that you might not catch from it, that entrance to pit road is super hard to hit in those early pit boxes. Like that turn is super aggressive, and those early pit boxes, it's really easy to do what Slaunch and Roman did, where they completely like put their front end against the wall and just screwed up their pit stop. Like I'm not cooking them. That's a very easy thing to do. And that's why I was so surprised that so many drivers elected for those pit stalls, because that was, that's a tough one on this, but definitely something for them to learn from this race. And that's the nice thing about this IndyHog season to remember too, is we're just in round 3. This is the longest HRL season round-wise, not moto-wise technically, but round-wise that we've had in a long time. There's a lot of time left. So these mistakes, like they can happen early on. After this race, there's still 12 rounds. There's basically a full like premier season left after these first 3 rounds with a Triple Crown in there. Like it is a long season. There's a long ways to go. And yeah, like learning this stuff and improving from it is going to be important. So I'm sure these guys will get their takeaways from that. So we're approaching 2 laps to go. And Luke's pretty checked out for first. Honestly, the strategy worked out great for Detail. He's in second as well. He's got a pretty good gap there. Sol is still doing really well. Sol is right there in that podium spot, and unless he has another, well, he can't now. The pits are closed, so Sol is looking great. I think he's on for a podium here. Did he get one at Long Beach? He might have got one at Long Beach, so I wanted to say his first of the season. I'll have to double check it after the race if he does hold on for it here. It could be his second if he holds on for it, because I want to say he got one at Long Beach. But yeah, Sol trying to get some strong runnings in here early in the season. We got a lot of, and I think it's going to be competitive too, because there's just so many wild cards. For one, these street courses and road courses are so different. They're so different from each other. Like, obviously, all of these luge tracks are going to have their own style. Like, you can tell that this track is going to be, one of my tracks. And when we get through, like I said, a lot of the upcoming schedule is, and you can tell, like, I clearly have my style. But the Roman tracks are very different. Maybe we'll see some stronger drivers there. Slaunch's tracks, very different. Opix has 2 coming in late in the season. Matt's was obviously very different. Details coming in at the end of the season as well. Did I get them all? Did I forget anybody? If I forgot anybody, sorry. Yeah, I mentioned Romans too. I think I got everybody. Hope I did. But yeah, so they all have very distinct styles, and you could tell just from looking at them as we go to the white flag here. And I think it's going to switch things up. So we'll see how it goes with the schedule. Especially with the oval tracks. And things have been so competitive so far, and I'm sure there'll be shifts and balances. Like, I'm really excited to see how this season turns out. And honestly, the races have been pretty good too. Like, even with the cheese, Lil Texas, watching the race VOD back, if anybody did it, I honestly think it was a great race to watch back. I think Long Beach got better as the night went on, and the track was great. And it's kind of singled out here at the end of the race, but I think this race was pretty good too. That 4 wide in the beginning was great. That was pretty sweet, actually. That was some of the best battling that we've seen on like a hog road course. It was really good, pretty clean. And then the pit strategy that we got in there, Detail making a pretty crazy comeback. I got to give it to him in this one, starting in the back and having a rough start, and then now just like clear second place with a big gap. So I don't know how that happened. Sol having a really good race as well, not starting from too far up front. Yeah, some big runs from people in Moto 1 and some good battles, good pit strategy. It was fun to watch. I think Moto 2 will be even better. But for now, that's going to be the closeout for Moto 1. Luke will take the checkered flag third of the season there, first on a road course. So we do separate the street courses and the road courses. Detail with a pretty nice second place, honestly. Got to give it to him on that one. Soul, a great podium. I'll double check that stat. Slaunch fourth, probably hoping for a little bit more, but Roman fifth. Again, we got him. We'll take notes. I think he got cheesed with. I think everybody on that side got cheesed. So I don't think anybody even noticed it. I don't know if anybody else thought about it after the race, but afterwards, like after the second moto, I was like, yeah, we kind of fucked that up. We kind of fucked that up. But you know, hopefully we'll have that. Well, I don't think it'll be as much of an issue on the later tracks, to be honest. I don't think it'll be as much of an issue. So Ramada coming in across the line. Matt coming in as well. There we go, and that'll be it. So that'll be it. I'll double check my. I believe I was right. So yeah, Soul coming in with his second podium on the season. Detail coming in with his third, tying him up with Slaunch and Roman there. So a big podium for him to take, and with the third one in the season there in the podium. So doing lineup spots. So Luke, Detail, Soul. That is your podium for Barber Moto 1. Man, I wish we had. I wish this wasn't the week everybody was missing, because as much as I enjoyed the racing in Little Texas, it would have made so much more sense. It would have made so much more sense for these weeks to be flipped, driver count wise. That being said, I mean, it did make for some entertainment on Little Texas. So we don't mind it, but I'm sure we'll get some of those guys back next week. And I'll do a what do you call them? I was gonna do it last week and I forgot. I'll do a recap at the end and I'll talk about what I want to talk about with the schedule coming up, because we have some big schedule updates. But that's it for Moto 1. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's get on over to Moto 2.